Ah, the beautiful, beloved Howls Moving Castle. So rich, so vibrant, so thought-provoking, so creepily Dr. Frankenstein's monster-y. Did you know it's based off of a book? Right, the Diana Wynn Jones book by the same name. The movie, 4 major story beats, follows the book close-ish for the first hour, but then things go off the rails. And there are more than a few delightfully creepy crumbs that get lost or added, like Howl being a homely serial ladies' man and he and his apprentice falling for the same girl. Girls? There's more than one. The Witch of the Wast's true motives, the absence of time travel, who the real villain is, and just why are we fighting this atrocious war anyway? Of course, things had to change to adapt the novel into a movie, and the movie and book each have their own message. I enjoy both, and I just love geeking out about the things that changed along the way to make it work in its new form and for a different audience. So if you love weird lore dives, follow me and buckle up because this is one heck of a bumpy castle ride. But before we inquire too deeply of Ingery, today's video is sponsored by TappyToon. TappyToon is home to many gorgeously illustrated webcomics covering many genres from romance to action, drama, and more. Find stories you love by signing in and reading free trial chapters and getting daily free chapters as well. You can even earn points or buy tokens to unlock chapters of your favorite webtoons faster. I've been getting into Bloody Sweet, which is the story of a young creative writer who doesn't quite fit in. Things get strange and confusing and steamy when she breaks the seals and unleashes a handsome vampire. Between this story and so many others, you're sure to find many stories that you'll love. So, check out TappyToon today to start your own adventure. Thank you to TappyToon for sponsoring today's video. For the most part, the film and the book start off the same for major plot points, but then, new characters, new combined antagonist, time travel? Because the theme of the movie changed from the book, a lot of small details had to go, so let's go find them. In a quick hit sort of way, otherwise we'd be here for hours, and my brain would melt. In the movie, Sophie Hatter is an older sister, so doomed to a boring life as a, Hatter, while her younger sister, Lettie, gets all the excitement and attention. Sophie is saved from some lecherous soldiers by a mysterious wizard. They get chased by blobs. Sophie gets changed into an old woman by the Witch of the Waste, remarkably calmly decides to leave her life behind to embrace her ancient age, and try to stop the curse. She ends up working for Howl, helping him dodge the draft, time travels, and eventually helps break the contract between him and Calcifer. Oh, also ends the terrible war by simply kissing the turnip man who conveniently turns out to be the missing prince. What luck! Also, flipping that fairy tale trope on its head. The Witch of the Waste turns out was not too much of a threat, also she is kind of adorable, and everyone lives happily ever after. War is the driving factor in the movie. It's everywhere from beginning to end, and that makes sense with what the movie is saying and critiquing. In the book, it's the Witch of the Waste and her curse that binds everything together. Okay, mental seatbelt fasten? Good, let's go! In Book Ingery, fairytale tropes like evil stepmothers, beautiful youngest sisters, 7-league boots, etc. are assumed real. And Sophie spends the book learning that these can be overcome and changed. Book Sophie is a powerful witch, even though she doesn't know it. Early on, Book Sophie talks to hats and unknowingly spells them to become what she says. When she puts on a frumpy mushroom hat herself, she looks in the mirror and says, "Like an old maid." And shortly-ish thereafter, the Witch of the Waste turns up to turn her into just that. And turns out she did that because she thought Sophie was her sister Lettie, and also because Sophie's magic was competition? I always wondered if Sophie's magic played some role in that as well. Did she inadvertently put that become an old woman energy out into the Angorian universe and then gets turned into one? I mean, the power to speak things into existence is really overpowered, and I can see where the Witch of the Waste would be jealous of that. Anyway, Book Sophie, who is 18, has 2 younger sisters. She only has 1 in the movie. Martha and the, of course, gorgeous Lettie. This is important because Howell's apprentice Micheal, not Markl, who is 15, so not a child, has a crush on Martha, who is disguised as Lettie. Right, the sisters switch places with magic to change their fortunes. Anyway, the movie makes a little reference to this absent Martha character by having the Hat Shop girls say about Howl in the beginning, "Did you hear what happened to that girl Martha from South Haven? They say Howl tore her heart out." In the movie, Howl appears to be quite the gentleman, helping Sophie out of the creepy situation with the two soldiers. But in the book, Howl is actually the one who wants to buy her a drink and escort her around town during the May Day festival. They took his lines from the book and gave them to the creepy soldiers, if that gives you any idea of who Book Howl is. He is an obvious flirt and very cowardly and lazy. According to Calcifer, Howl is not naturally handsome but spends hours in the bathroom primping. The longer he spends in there, the more infatuated he is with his current love interest. He also brings along a guitar that he doesn't know how to play, but remember that for later, with him when he goes a-wooing. The heart-stealing part about Howl comes from the fact that he only chases indifferent and uninterested gorgeous women. But the second they begin to love him in return, he loses all interest, ghosts them, and returns home to slime up the house again. Micheal is sick of this cycle, especially when Howl turns his amorous gaze to Michael's own love, Martha Hatter. Yes, Sophie's sister, and you know Sophie is upset with that. She is especially upset that her own mending of Howl's wooing suit made it more powerful and difficult for women to resist. So, Howl's actually a plain-looking guy who uses magic to make himself beautiful. Not that there's anything wrong with that, it's just kinda ironic that that's why Howl broke things off with the Witch of the Waste, right? She was just using magic to mask her looks too. Also, Book Howl is 27, nearly 10,000 days old when the Witch of the Waste's curse goes off. And chasing after teenage girls, so yikes. Book Witch of the Waste also has a fire demon, who by this point has overtaken the witch herself. This fire demon uses Howl's own weakness for beautiful women to try to ensnare his heart and kill Calcifer. It takes the human form of Miss Lily Angorian, a smart, witty, and gorgeous school teacher who is searching for her missing Ben Suliman, the wizard. We'll get back to that. Sophie suspects that both Howl and Micheal have the hots for her. She gets jealous, but only so much as old woman Sophie lets herself. Sophie does not realize that she can speak the curse off herself, and Howl rather thinks she likes being in disguise, as even he failed to covertly remove the curse from her a few times as well. At least he was able to take away her aches and pains though, right? What a guy. Anyway, in the movie, war is the greatest threat. Howl dodges the draft summons because he does not want to lose himself and become whatever the other wizards have become. That's extremely understandable. Witch Suliman acts as an antagonist just as the Witch of the Waste does, but neither are really the biggest threat compared to the senseless war. And those really rude and impossible steps, yeah, they're in the book too. Book Howl builds the moving castle to outrun the Witch of the Waste and dodge the king's summons because he is admittedly a coward. It's worth noting that Book King is not conscripting Howl to serve on the front lines there, and Howl has been commissioned by the king before to make 7-league boots for soldiers, among other spells. The king only wants his help to find the king's younger brother, Prince Justin, who went missing while looking for Wizard Suliman, yeah, circling back, who the king sent out to defeat the Witch of the Waste when she threatened the Princess Valeria, who she only threatened because Wizard Suliman wouldn't come near the waste in the first place. Whew, with me? Cool. So, not as bad as becoming a war monster, but Howl is so afraid that he has to trick himself into helping. Fun finds. Movie Witch Suliman is a fusion of Witch Pentstemmon, who trained Howl and is worried about his soul, and Wizard Suliman from the book. Also fun, Book Wizard Suliman was the one who planted all the flowers in an attempt to weaken the Witch of the Waste before she caught up with him. Dun dun dun. Oh, also the dog makes an appearance in the book too, but is a Frankenstein's monster combo of parts of Wizard Suliman and pieces of Prince Justin. Super cute, super cute. The parts are spelled to look like a dog, and sometimes a human, I think. I don't know, brain melting yet? Book Howl is always on the move, and he keeps his original name, Howell Jenkins, and his home in Wales a secret as he does not want the Witch of the Waste to harm his sister and her family. That's very kind and admirable. It's also why he won't permit Sophie to clean his spider-infested room. The window there looks out to his family's backyard. Also, movie room is way cooler, just saying. Anyway, Book Witch of the Waste kills Witch Pentstemmon, forcing Howl out to attend her funeral. He does have some decency. This leads to a mighty magic duel between Howl and the Witch of the Waste, and in the aftermath of that, Howl and Micheal begin to move houses again. Didn't think I forgot about old Turniphead, did ya? He's sort of creepier in the book. Mental seatbelt still fastened? Good. Book fire demon Lily Angorian turns out to be the biggest baddie. She has burned through the Witch of the Waste and is seeking a new heart, but not just any heart. She is making the perfect human to control. Yep, she has the bodies of a few men in pieces and has stitched them together to make such a host. She just needs Howls Parts to complete her project. First, she took Wizard Ben Suliman, who, with the last of his strength, made a scarecrow golem to find himself. But he was already in pieces, so the scarecrow was stumped in its search. Poor rotting turnip friend. Prince Justin went to locate his missing wizard friend, bought some location spells from the beautiful Lettie Hatter, and kinda fell for her. And his head got separated from his body, which is sitting headless in the Witch of the Waste's home. Howl bought a skull and a guitar on a whim, and turns out it was Suliman's guitar and Justin's head. What? When the scarecrow finally gets into Howl's house after chasing it all book, it absorbs the now chattering skull into its rotting head in order to speak. Things get crazy really fast. Sophie goes to the Witch of the Waste, who says she has Miss Angorian captive. We don't know that she's evil yet. Gets trapped herself, is saved by Howl, and they walk on the air, kind of in my mind like they do early in the movie, to Howl's place to stop the fire demon who was residing in Wizard Suliman's guitar. What? The Witch of the Waste's heart is snuffed out. Sophie successfully gives Calcifer another 1,000 years of life, and all's well that ends well. No time travel loops involved. Although I can't say that makes it any less confusing. Well, I'm confused. But traveling back a bit, let's wrap up some love triangles. Lettie Hatter, while studying magic under Witch Fairfax, befriends a dog, who is the bespelled human, or parts of humans, remember, who goes by Percival or Gaston. Lettie sends this dog to keep Sophie, who apparently everyone knows is cursed, safe. Anyway, because Prince Justin met Lettie a few times to buy the spells and thought her beautiful, his body pieces, when combined with Suliman's body pieces, gave Suliman visions of the beautiful Lettie. So when all the curses are broken, craggy, I'm not sure how old, Wizard Ben Suliman puts some seriously bold moves on Lettie. They end up together. Micheal and Markl are happy together. Sophie and Howl begin an interesting and eventful happily ever after, and we get to see what they get up to in the 2 sequels. So, that wraps up our delve into the big little differences between the Howls Moving Castle book and movie. I really enjoy the story in both forms, but I'll be honest, my brain is kind of melting with this video. I find it awesome how a core narrative can transform into 2 completely different stories. But what are some of your thoughts? Some of your favorite moments from either one? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you, friends and fiends, for tuning in to this magical adventure. If you like what I do here, please be sure to like and subscribe so you won't miss a creepy thing. I'll see you soon in the next video. Goodbye!